Good evening, everyone. Jacob Moses, Wizard of Willow here. Welcome to the Free World Festival 2020. Hope everything is good with every single one of you who join in today. Or rather tonight. It is 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time that I'm going to begin. I'm starting a little bit early. Because I'm going to do a little ritual here. As you can see, kind of have a little new agey, pagan kind of setup here, occult kind of setup here, and I am a tarot card reader. So before we begin, I'm going to do a little something called the State of the Universe reading. So this will be a treat for anybody who decides to tune in a little bit early or catches this on the rebound. Just want to say thank you to Chris Carr, who is an organizer of the Brooklyn Wildlife Summer Festival. He decided to do something a little bit different this year. We got people from all over the world who are live streaming their performances. And I am incredibly grateful that there are people out there who are making it a point to support each other. It's very important that everybody support each other throughout this creative community all over the world. This is broadcasting all over the world, and people all over the world are doing their creative talents. So, how you doing, Nakakage? Okay, so I'm going to start with the tarot reading. Now, I like to do something called the State of the Universe. I do this in one of my occult groups. I might be doing this as a YouTube channel in the future. So here we go. Okay. So the way I'm looking at this, I have made it a resolution to not necessarily look at cards in their reversals. I like to just get it straight. That's personally my feeling. I like to get it straight. So we start with our current situation, which is represented by the moon, the lovers, and the Eight of Swords. Now, what I'm seeing from this is that we are in a stage right now where we are imprisoned by our own devices. We're imprisoned by our own minds. And while we have love around us, while we know that there are going to be things that we need to be aware of, while we are aware that, so to speak, the universe is unfolding as it should, as it says in Desiderata, we don't know where we're going. We are imprisoned by our own minds. We're imprisoned by our own thought processes. And we really got to think about exactly where we want to go. We got to think about where we want to go as far as our intuitions are concerned, as far as our goals are concerned. And that's next represented by the Last Judgment. This is the turning point that we are receiving. Turning point we are receiving is that we are at a very critical turning point right now in our society. And this critical turning point could go either way. It could go for the better, it could go for the worse. But you know what? I think it's going to go for the better, because its next card is the Sun. And the Sun is all happiness. It is healing. It is the fact that there is going to be a certain level of testing that's going to happen. And that level of testing generally involves whether you are going to err on the side of good or err on the side of evil. And the good will prevail. I genuinely believe that the good will prevail. Now, things that we are neglecting are represented by the Two of Swords, the Queen of Rods, and Temperance. We got to make it a point to be tolerant of each other. We got to make it a point to be as emotionally balanced throughout this time as possible. It's very difficult. It's very difficult to get through, but it's very crucial to get through. What I can also say is we need to embrace the masculine and the feminine within us, but the feminine is really what's going to be a lot more powerful in this case. We are fighting with each other. We got to experience a certain level of genuine caring within us. We have got to make it a point to carry each other through the difficult times that we are going through, because right now we're going through a lot of difficult times. With COVID, with civil unrest, our economy, our environment. There are a lot of things that are really going to hell in a handbasket right now, and we got to make it a point to change as much as we possibly can. So, that being said, I'm going to take a little bit of my medicine here. Earth in here, fire there, it's raining outside, so we got water there, and that's the air. Okay. So, that being said, we are going to get started. People are coming in just in time. It's a beautiful thing. So I'm going to start by doing my favorite poem of all time. This is not mine, but it's my favorite poem of all time. And I do have this from memory. It does have a lot of sentimental value to me, and that's the poem Desiderata. Hope you guys are enjoying the rain that you hear outside if you're hearing it. Go placidly amid the noise and haste, and remember what peace there may be in silence. As far as possible without surrender, be on good terms with all persons. Speak your truth quietly and clearly, and listen to others. Even the dull and ignorant, they too have their story. Avoid loud and aggressive persons, they are vexations to the spirit. If you compare yourself with others, you may become vain and bitter, for always there will be greater and lesser persons than yourself. Enjoy your achievements as well as your plans. Keep interested in your own career, however humble. It is a real possession in the changing fortunes of time. Exercise caution in your business affairs, for the world is full of trickery. But let this not blind you to what virtue there is. Many persons strive for high ideals, and everywhere life is full of heroism. Be yourself. Especially do not feign affection. Neither be cynical about love, for in the face of all aridity and disenchantment, it is as perennial as the grass. Take kindly the counsel of the years, gracefully surrendering the things of youth. Nurture strength of spirit to shield you in sudden misfortune, but do not distress yourself with dark imaginings. Many fears are born of fatigue and loneliness. Beyond the wholesome discipline, be gentle with yourself. You are a child of the universe, no less than the trees and the stars. You have a right to be here. And whether or not it is clear to you, no doubt the universe is unfolding as it should. Therefore, be at peace with God, whatever you conceive him to be, and whatever your labors and aspirations in the noisy confusion of life, keep peace with your soul, with all its sham, drudgery, and broken dreams. It is still a beautiful world. Be cheerful. Strive to be happy. That poem holds a lot of weight with me because I recited this at my father's funeral. I also left a scroll with the words to this poem, Desiderata by Max Ehrmann, in my best friend's casket. And it's held a lot of significance for me since then. Or just for a while now. Maybe like over the past decade or so. So moving right along. I am going to start reading my own poetry. I'm going to start with poetry from And the Willow Smiled. I've got 3 books out. I'm going to read selections from all 3 of them. So the first poem I'm going to read is called 13th Floor. This is from And the Willow Smiled. In Hebrew, the word for love numerically corresponds to 13. There are 13 positive attributes of God. Kabbalah teaches us the transcendence of the human ego is represented by 13. Death in the tarot is attached to 13. This represents change and not literal decomposition. And just a reminder that tarot's origins are rooted in Kabbalah. Boys and girls become men and women when they get B'nai Mitzvot at the age of 13. And while some fear this number, I would not be born without it, for my grandfather was born on June 13th, 1913. And yes, it was a Friday. All the positives lacking from religious zealots who only associate the number with witches, demons, and magic compose the base 13 superstitions America possesses. They fail to make the architecture of our urban infrastructure 1 story taller. The Empire State Building has no 13th floor, and those who defend this have no ground to stand on. Next poem I'm going to read is called Bestiary. Also, I just want to say hello to the people who stopped in, Scott Raven and Jessica R. Kratz. From sound frequencies blaring through light, creatures roam the terrains of my subconscious. With a ballpoint, I am the vessel in which my wildfire initiates the genesis of a new world. Within a leather-bound graveyard of trees, images of these beasts assert dominance upon my non-dominant hand. Intuition guides me to identify the taxonomy of my broken sense of clarity, only to be classified as a recluse with imaginary friends, in images which would be unrecognizable to those far less magical and significantly less imaginative. These are transmissions which are sent through me with the reserved fervor initiated by the sounds of Egypt and Tibet. I am the conjurer who walks a fine line in this alley of grayness. I am the beast taking the form of animals which have long been symbols of my spiritual DNA. In the truest of forms, this bestiary holds the broken, and these pages are the glue. These are the clues to help me sleuth how I may be whole once again. Okay, thank you guys. All right, number 3. Jessica, you inspired this one, actually. So this is called Firebender. Within the darkness, a candle beams. Can I control the flames I sometimes struggle to control within my belly? I see trails of fire pointing straight in the divergence of the light. The orange embers beckon me to follow every fork in this burning highway. Every exit is a ramp leading to peace. Fire rests upon my shoulders when my heart and mind converge within this meditation. My eyes are the magnet controlling a compass fueled by wax. More directions exist than I had ever imagined. I can control the altitude my spirit reaches, and I see heaven emanating from a candle far from brief. I feel my sense of masculinity forming as trails denote my chromosomes on both the x-axis and y-axis. And even when the daylight breaks, this light won't be obscured, for the sun and the moon within the eyes of the falcon won't allow the night to perish. Okay, so I want to also say hello to BK Virgo _826. Good to see you here. So I want to talk a little bit about this book, And the Willow Smiled. I wrote this last year. All of these were written in April of last year. And I was like looking through how many poems I could fit together in one coherent concept. And I realized that a lot of them that I wrote had to do with the occult in some form or another. And so that's where the inspiration for these come from. And so we're going to move forward with Vision Quest. My father's legacy exists in Martling's Pond. He offered 2 catfish to the souls of Clove Lakes Park. Whether they survived is a mystery to us, but fishermen often spoke of their presence in these waters. I remembered biology class when I learned how fish spawn, their offspring contained in eggs while fertilized in their nests. One may only hope we change the ecosystem. Perhaps we change the environment with a gift reminiscent of Noah. 20 years have passed since we gave them up. Now their spawn eat the algae at the bottom of the pond. Here's hoping future generations help habitats harbor harmony. I'm going to read one more from this book. A little bit of a longer one. This one is called Yet Another Pink Floyd Poem. I remember the first time I read this out loud, it was last year, and it was the 50th anniversary of the lunar landing. Using your voice to speak to a generation sometimes goes unheard. In the event someone cares, listen if the vibe suits you. Come enjoy the air. Breathing is necessary when consuming light from the depths of the cosmos and the light within your soul. Running away can only serve to cheat yourself from felicity. Following like a stalker are the problems you carry. Synchronicity sometimes serves to add distress more than oft needed. Limitations crush the mind when constrained by Father Time. Death need not be sad. Parts of us must rot away. Consumed by living are these insecurities which squatted far too long. Same goes for money. Added pressure to allow it to consume us just so we have shelters that never get inhabited. Now we are at war, divided among ourselves in this massacre against reason and wisdom and emotion and spirit. So here come the drugs. All those pretty colors spin as they beckon you to cross over to the realm which eliminates your shame. Now you can't think straight. Faulty interface pervades every single sense of your rationality, falling quickly by the wayside. As the world now closes, memories on this journey are fading to black, for the destination reached is the dark, side of the moon. Okay, well, thank you all for coming through so far. I greatly appreciate seeing these names appear on my screen. And I want to just take a little bit of an intermission right now. Anybody who has any kinds of questions for me or comments on my work, I would definitely love to hear them. Now, I'm not just going to be reading from the book. I'm going to be doing some old favorites as well. And I look forward to entertaining you with those. I am definitely hoping that a lot of people get to experience this. 1 second. Okay. So moving right along, I just wanted to check something on there quick. I wanted to see if hopefully the hashtags come through in these titles. So I look forward to seeing how many more people plan to come in, but I also look forward to seeing how many people appreciate it on the rebound. Once again, thank you to Chris Carr for organizing this. It is greatly appreciated. A lot of artists are going to get quite a bit of coverage from this, from all around the world. It's a beautiful thing. So I'm going to do one of the old favorites. This one is called Touching the Sky. Jessica, if you're still watching, you're going to notice a lot of these are dedicated to you. Sunrises on Saturday mornings before networks had 24-hour programming are vast memories. Sense of light and color from the test pattern, darkness eradicated at the age of 4. Infomercials with Richard Simmons outlined weight loss, fallacies, crash diets, laxatives, vomiting, starve for a sense of belonging, excretion of identity, purging taboos of the psychic and psychotic. And then the colors of Diolomio cards ease that need to nourish my spirit, quenching my thirst for love and wisdom. In the morning, I had no rooster to wake me. It was Tootie from the Home Shopping Club who woke me. Gold and emeralds ease my chaos, adoration adorned and fever fueled. Perceptions of color often defined through ColecoVision, Atari, Commodore, low fidelity, higher contrast from reruns of I Love Lucy, The Twilight Zone, and The Honeymooners. I crave boldness in those 8-bit rainbows, skylines done injustice. 16 colors aren't enough, impossible to fill in a 24-hour day with such restrictions. I observe the sky through filters, none of which distort reality, but simply accentuate the vividness of heaven. And often I reminisce of 1985, the first time I had a numerical concept of a year, 4 years after my birth, 30 years prior to my father's passing. And these days my eyes are hexadecimal algorithms Pantone has yet to develop, and my vision is HDMI. Pupils are my perspective, darkness, the onyx observation of loneliness and loss, my insatiable need to find a place within this infinite spectrum, my unfulfilled desire to belong. The wheel of fortune spins. Luck is pressed. Come on, big money, big money, big money, big money, big bucks, big bucks, big bucks, no whammies, no whammies, no whammies, no whammies, no whammies, stop! Pink hearts, orange stars, yellow moons, green clovers, blue diamonds, purple horseshoes, pots of gold, rainbows, trees, blue moons, leprechaun hats, gold coins, shooting stars, crystal balls, hourglasses, keys. These are the talisman of morning magic, ambrosia of oats on marshmallows soaked in milk, but my lucky charms are my rods and cones. They allow me to admire these radiant symbols. All my photos evolved from mud, and this new set of colors is presently incessantly, paradise, my heaven, my sky, my ether. Perhaps it demonstrates the incorporation of color destined to reach out. Perhaps it's friendlier than the earth upon which I stand. Perhaps I crave that which is limitless, for skies are not ceilings. The outside world is unconfined. My aura showcases skylines. Okay, thank you for that. Okay, AI Firefly joined in. Good to see you. Nebula and the Velvet Queen joined in, two of my favorite people. Love the ambiance. I'm having connection issues, so I would do my best to capture your words. Oh, I appreciate that, Firefly. I really do. I really do. Hopefully, if you can't catch them now, you'll catch them on the rebound. This will definitely be on the rebound. Once again, this is the Free World Fest 2020. And I am Jacob Moses, the Wizard of Willow. I am reading from my books. I'm going to be doing 18 poems tonight. I've already done... I've already done 7. And, basically, one of them was Desiderata, which is always one of my favorites. And I read from And the Willow Smiled. I am now going to be reading from this book, Art Therapy 101. I'm going to pick some poems out of this. First poem that I'm going to read is called Leo Rising. My moods are vines upon which baboons sweep the shady side of willows. Answer this call. This primal release of nobility bounces and ricochets within weathered walls. I plummeted into a pit of hyenas. Fate predetermined, fall of fraternity, abdication of honor's throne. I lead the pride amid the falsehood, not too proud to combat the phoniness, my heart bruised by belligerence. Know me as one who possesses love amid the lesions. My eyes are bloodshot, smoke born from the friction between me and the world, but nonetheless, clarity remains in my kingdom. Papadas 910, good to see you here. Really good to see you here. So long as I have people in here coming in, you know I gotta show some love. 100%. The next poem is called Urban Bloom. Now let me explain a little something about Art Therapy 101. This basically illustrates like my process. While going through therapy, I did see an art therapist, and I did study art therapy as a career. And so this was basically my process. Like a lot of the paintings and drawings that I did in art therapy have manifested themselves in poems. Even projects that I did in my classes made themselves into poems. So this next one is called Urban Bloom. You watched me fall apart, sweeping the petals of my security into the gutter of your disdain. Once again stripped of love, by the wayside falls the bevy of rose petals surrounding my feet, numb from diabetes and dichotomies. Your eyes will perceive me as either yin or yang, one or the other, never both. You neglect the trouble and triumph within my swirls. I scale, I repel, I scale, I repel, I scale, I repel. Praying I don't collapse. If I fall, I would rather glide like my petals from days of yore. I hope one day one may love me unconditionally instead of plucking away at me. Relying on superstition over reason, nourish me with acceptance. I love you. I love you not. I love you. I love you not. I love you. I love you not. I love. Well, thank you, Firefly. I appreciate the applause. I really do. Love you. Next poem is called This Is Only a Test. My visualization for this was a test pattern. Oh, Firefly, you make me all giddy. Cut off the air to overactive reruns. Replace them with landscapes within the confines of bars. I speak not of the kind which house the depths of sin. I speak not of the kind which enable the pitfalls of vice. I speak of the test pattern. I speak of the black and the white. I speak of the red and the green and the blue. I speak of the cyan and the magenta and the yellow. They are temporary breaks from life. They are screensavers timed at the conveniences of networks, ending the day of broadcasting, encouraging basic perception of color. These bars do not constrain. Instead, they narrate the origin story of vision. Test patterns are a reminder of how even TV took time to tune out. Have we lost touch with tending to our needs? We keep going, but a temporary halt does not disqualify us from our hierarchy of needs. Keep your own pace. Nurture your roots. A new day, a fresh start. Your downtime is now a spectrum. Well, I definitely appreciate everybody who is coming through. Trying to decide which is going to be my next one. Yeah, I'll do this one. Definitely. This is bar 6. This is based on a recurring dream that I had, and it's very surreal. I tend to have a lot of dreams about casinos, and so this is one of those casino dreams. At the bottom of a hotel pool, a lounge resides. 3 cocktails later, you resurface toward a dome where facets of the sun kaleidoscopically connect. You exit, jump cutting to the lobby, adorned in a white, fuzzy robe. To your right is a casino. Strobe lights illuminate leagues of gallant gamblers. Sit down and pull the handle. Forget the buttons and put muscle into that desire to press your luck. Your results will be mixed. There will be combinations of bar and 7 on their individual reels, sometimes singular, perhaps pairs. Theoretically, triple sets of bar and 7 on each reel threaten to entice you as coins plummet like dreams after disillusionment. You won't remember whether you came out ahead. You won't question how you managed to carry all those coins. You won't care how many chips you placed your lucky number on in roulette. You won't recall the number which brought you luck. The croupier shouts, "No more bets." The ball settles. You rise. As you long for the rainbow bridge which comforted you in your bliss after pachinko balls engulfed the Tokyo of your temperament. Peter Max and Lisa Frank, Lord and Lady of psychedelic splendor, are the ones who greet you every time a nightmare transmutes into a dream, paving a road reminiscent of a peacock's tail. You've picked some amazing pieces. Thank you, Firefly. I should just mention, I gotta give you a shout out, Firefly, because you and we go way back. And you've always been a very good judge of character when it comes to poets and when it comes to poems. And you've always helped me a lot when it came to refining my poetry. You have a very good eye, and I always just kind of resonated with your feedback. And we're Gemini, so that's just kind of how we roll with that. We get each other in that respect. So, thank you. Last one I'm going to do from Art Therapy 101 is called Prima Materia. Based on alchemy. A lot of love right back at you, Firefly. Thank you. Burning the sage to engulf a new brand, which calcification is no sleight of hand, repression and trauma falling to the floor, depression, dilemmas, kick them out the door. Dissolving the sorrows into the bare ground, gushing of water declines by the pound, tears begin running while scoping the womb, escaping the wrath of a self-imposed tomb. To separate solids, the opposites blend to form the realities Hermes has penned. Severing egos, choose what will remain in light of the burning and flushing of pain. Above and below, the conjunction will rise. Below and above, the bright gold is the prize. Our connections to deities rise to the top. Epiphanies crackling, revealing a pop. Fermenting and rotting, the shit hits the fan. Prima materia ceases its span. Old decomposing, breakdown persists. Let this antiquated perception desist. Distilling and purification transpires, the type of result that one often admires. Attachment to self and the heartache as well will mimic vibrations that send you to hell. Coagulate, make sure the balance remains. Manifestation of riches contained. Spirit to spirit, the bridges now link. You and the world are now truly in sync. Well, that takes care of the reading from Art Therapy 101. Gonna take a little break. Any kind of feedback you folks have, please feel free to leave it on me. I love feedback. I absolutely love feedback. So let me just get some of my little medication here. It's legal medication, I'll just say that much. Ha ha ha, you can't arrest me. Alright, so I'm gonna put some of this in here. This is really good stuff. I mean, I've always been a big fan of CBD as far as treating anxiety is concerned, and lately I've been having my share of anxiety. I'm just gonna give a full disclosure as far as that goes. Are you going to read from Seance? Yes, that's next. That is next, Firefly. That is definitely going to be next, and I'm glad you mentioned that because I have a book. This is my latest book, Seance. And I'm going to be reading 5 pieces from that. Just need to kind of get the good energy in me right now. It was raining before. I kind of wanted to open up the window and just kind of get the ambiance of the rain. I hope that came through. Not gonna lie, I'm really glad I was able to do this because I had a really wicked headache earlier. Glad that's gone. So glad that's gone. But now I'm going to read from Seance. This is my latest book. And I am going to make it a point to put a link to it. This is going to be through my publisher. 1 second. I don't think I've ever really tried making a comment on here while I've done a live stream. It's kind of interesting. It's also kind of nerve-wracking. There we go. That is a link directly to my publisher. I am going to be having a book launch on September 12th. It's going to be on Zoom. And anybody who wants to join in, just please feel free to DM me And the day of the show, like shortly before showtime, I will give the Zoom information. Just wanted to make sure I typed that in correctly. Type that in correctly, and not incorrectly, incorrectly. Okay. So we're going to move forward. Going to read some poems from Seance. First one is called Genesis of Jacob. Now, many people know me by my original name, Jack Friedman. I wound up changing it to Jacob Moses last year. And so this talks a little bit about that, kind of makes some allusions to me becoming Jacob Moses. And this was also published in an anthology put forth by Auroras and Blossoms. On the pink moon, I left behind a dozen years of instability. A tribe was born for every year I tossed insanity into the forge. Each tribe presented a gift rising from these sacrifices. My darkness illuminated by the rising sun of Reuben. My walls excavated through subterfuge of Simeon. My heart protected through vision of Levi. My weakness absolved via the lion's heart of Judah. My justice calibrated through the scales of Dan. My kindness liberated by the dough of Naphtali. My community connected with the tents of God. My peace harvested within the olives of Asher. My universe explored through observations of Issachar. Okay, I just paused for a moment. Okay, let me go back. My weakness absolved via the lion's heart of Judah. My kindness calibrated through the scales of Dan. My kindness liberated through the dough of Naphtali. My community connected with the tents of God. My peace harvested within the olives of Asher. My universe explored through observations of Issachar. My finances supplemented by the travels of Zebulun. My dreams realized through many prophecies of Joseph. My sacrifices rationed through the appetite of Benjamin. Indiscretions, sacrileges, lamentations, transgressions. I become the Genesis in which my evolution tells me that Jacob is who I must be. I await the Exodus in which my revolution tells me that Israel is who I must embody. I am the healing force who dwells in gardens inherently nourished. I am the poet who has survived long enough to scribe his legacy. I have one bar on a country road, don't mind me popping in and out. No, I don't mind at all. I don't mind at all. I mean, I just greatly appreciate your feedback. Firefly, it really means a lot that you're here. It really does. It really does. Excuse me. Next poem I'm going to read. Yeah, I'll read this one. ColecoVision. Those of you who lived through the 80s know about this. I love you too, Firefly. Our cursors will keep all our ghosts at bay. Eat strife like burgers we prepare to build. Fight cosmic gangsters standing in the way. Lift fallen soldiers over war-torn hills. Driving through harsh conditions, dodging guns. Aiming for flying ducks, diving through screens. Pinball soaring through seas under the sun. Our futures set our psychedelic scenes. These unicycle wheels must learn to leap, hopping upon these color-changing cubes. Solar system conquest, blip, bloop, and bleep. Root beer shall flow from inside fountain tubes. 2 quarters in the slot will buy your games. It's not over until you type your name. Next poem I'm going to read. I have a hard time trying to decide which poems I like the best from here. But I want to kind of keep this on a little bit of an upbeat kind of note. This next one is called Land of the Night. Now all of these were written in April of this year. And many of them do have to do with COVID-19. But I was in some kind of mystical trance when I wrote this. I can't quite explain it. Again, any feedback is welcome. I greatly appreciate it. Multitude of earth-dwelling nocturnal creatures, blissful, in the links between shadows and ecstasy, into this moon, stare deep into the heaven, in between clouds, on top of quasars, burst of the nebulous, rain distantly reflects desires of id, libido quenched by red wine, dance of midnight, an aphorism, primal ego, unpredictable yaw, a shift of levity, more where roses fly east, retrograde orbit. We will undo these wars, reneged prophecies, apocalyptic refund, golden ratio intact, aesthetically pure, is this celebration, collective indigo, into its connection. Thank you. Next one I'm going to do, I think I'll do this one, Missing Cup. This is the first poem I wrote for NaPoWriMo this year. NaPoWriMo, National Poetry Writing Month, happens every April. You try to write 30 poems in 30 days. I believe I have been successful 4 times at this, so... Yeah. Missing Cup. This is dedicated to my altar. Oh, thank you, Papa Das. In the beginning we learned to spell. Upon my altar were 4 aces from my tarot deck. Aces are elements in their purest form. Medium of the spirit directed by symbiosis. Come the witching hour, wands still commanded fire. Air surrounded the sword, treasures of pentacles buried in the earth. But the water in this cup evaporated into the atmosphere, perhaps a reminder that my altar was overabundant with emotion. That my invocations accepted my heart as an ultimate offering. As honey jars sealed my fortune, as 13 pennies supplemented the soil, as nails in a jar of urine protected my yard, as the carcasses of mice inside a clay planter gave birth to purple dead nettle. St. Michael watches over me, violet rays hazy and ultra-sage, qualities which prove pills are not needed to witness majesties and mountains. Grapes of Dionysus must have fermented in this cup. Lakshmi must have lined it with gold. In the end, we become magic. Okay, I'm going to do 2 more. Last one from Seance is going to be Survivor. My ultimate guilty pleasure as far as TV is concerned. "20 years of the show Survivor never prepared us for pandemics. Our fire must always keep roaring as we aim not to be extinguished. With a tribe of castaways who dare to dream amid COVID-19 panic, aligned our stars and fraternity even within lonely domiciles. The tagline, outwit, outplay, outlast, is appropriate for our struggles. Villainous is this contagion to which we need an immunity. The chorus of these ancient voices echo sentiments of starvation. Please tell me if the tribe has spoken to the souls of those unfit to breathe. Is it worth 1 million fucking bucks to stay stuck on this infected land? We are not playing a game right now as we attempt to maintain our lives. No TV can alleviate the harsh terrains of our reality. Unscripted casualties of disease won't nullify our democracy. And now here we are on this landscape, fearing every single element, fishing for a cure for all our ills off the shore of our dystopia. Maintaining our standing in this world as we play this antisocial game. Torches are standing tall as we walk through these harsh terrains of maladies. Survivor, 40 seasons of strife, never prepared castaways for this. Once again, Seance, available on Amazon and available through the link I put in the chat. Gonna do one more. This is a signature piece of mine. Very important signature piece of mine. It was the confirmation that I'm a good poet. I submitted this poem to my college's literary arts festival and it came in first place. And it's a poem I wrote in just one sitting. It's been through a couple of revisions, maybe like 2 or 3 revisions since then. Calculations. Allow me to add my 2 cents to the situation. In return, I would like you to subtract the rhetoric that exits your lips and assist me in keeping divisions from multiplying. Before I go off on a tangent, let me tell you about the problem I have evaluated. You see, it seems as if every move you make is calculated. I have tried to mind my P's and Q's regarding this issue, but I cannot help myself from arriving at the solution that your ego-induced pollution has planned out like a logic proof or an algebraic matrix or a quadratic equation or a manic locomotive. From day one, I was able to graph the main points of my brain to the axes labeled X and Y. X signifies your attempts to censor others. Y, because you can. My rage is the product of your strategy to further an agenda. It is merely a fraction of this anger being portrayed. That's right. Just a percentage. Your position on the number scale of aggravation cannot be located with mortal eyes. It stretches out to an infinite number of miles. There is no final integer. You see, a range of things bother and depress me, and my mood not only swings like a pendulum and a grandfather clock, but also descends and ascends like a parabola. Therefore, I must dig within my brain and use prior knowledge obtained to plot a path across the map on the way to a poem marked with a black X. And, for the most part, I think I do a damn good job at getting from A to B without the help of a tutor. I am comfortable with what I know, and I embrace it. Whatever knowledge I may lack is on me, but I know that you don't know squat if you think you know what little I know. Think I care? No. I mean that for this writing to encompass a circular argument, but like a 180-degree angle, let's get something straight and settle the score. I am neither a letter nor a number nor a remedial student. I am just a man with a voice that some may consider noise that triggers violent waves. That is my right. Aren't we supposed to be equal? Shouldn't symbols resembling more than and less than not be applied or be crossed out? Can't we eliminate all unnecessary variables, all unnecessary formulas, all unnecessary postulates, all unnecessary theorems? All unnecessary. Programs, diagrams, anagrams, acrostics, diagnostics, cross multiples. This long division has gone on for too long, repeating multiple times, like 1/3 written as a decimal. Statistics do not reject this claim, although some want it to be a syntax error or want to believe that I forgot to carry the 2 in my calculation, but the remainder of my tolerance hangs by an unraveling thread. I proudly sign my name on this thesis, and my colleagues would proudly co-sign, given that they possess research on this behavior, so we pooled our data together. We share a very reciprocal relationship. However, it does not take Fibonacci or Pascal or Apollonius or Euclid or Euler or Eratosthenes or Archimedes or Maimonides to deduce this verbal dilemma. Your calculations are wrong. The atmosphere provided is negative. The agenda cannot be defined, for it does not compute. Not by any means. Not by any modes. Not by any standard deviations. So tell me, how do you like them applications? Thank you. Okay, that is the end of my set. My dog, Grady, always manages to whine every time I do a reading. And so I gotta give him something to pacify him. And now Freddy's getting jealous, so I gotta give something to pacify him too. Okay. My book, Seance, is actually dedicated to my dogs, interestingly enough. I also dedicated it to two friends of mine who passed away. I'm just going to mention their names, Richard Fragiacomo and Darren. And so I just wanted to mention that because Seance is, by definition, contacting the deceased. And the ironic part of Seance is that this was published on June 11th, 2020, and that was 7 years after my father passed away to the day. So this has a very significant life of its own. And this book does mean a lot to me because of it. So thank you for coming through. I hope people who enjoy this on the rebound really enjoy this. Want to thank everybody who passed through, everybody who left feedback. You're all greatly appreciated. Thank you and have a good night. Jacob Moses, Wizard Willow, signing off. Peace.